And then my reply was very short. I say I cannot tell about Mother Nature because many times, hurricanes and so will destroy our reef, will destroy some of the keys. But when it comes to responsibility, when it comes to commitment, I can definitely assure that, like Mr. Montero said, that we are determined, that we are serious into making sure that the proper rules and regulations are implemented to make sure that we can safeguard our natural resources, our marine life. And I always say this word, it is not for us, but for the ones coming behind. So we are the guardians of what will happen in the future. Thank you.
Thank you too, Minister. Thank you so much. I'm sure those are enlightening words for the people in the NGOs who are big into conservation. Ambassador Peter Linden, Ambassador, it's a pleasure, like I said before, to have you here in Belize. It's an honor, really, to be here with you and to have you here sharing with us. The interest that the German government has shown in our country, Belize, is definitely appreciated. So on behalf of Belizeans, of us that walk on the streets every day, thank you so much for that interest and for playing such an important role with regards to conservation in our country, which is very important. So let's get your words now, Ambassador, and what have been said.
Thank you, Rene, for having the chance to speak twice. When I first spoke in the introduction round, I said that I was expecting to learn a lot on this very special day. And I think the prediction was right. I have already learned a lot. And the most important thing, which I think I have learned, is that this job on climate change or an environment is too big a job for one. I think that is what I have learned. So what I hear from all contributions from government, your government is also a lawmaking government because ministers are MPs at the same time. So it's an executive legislative government. We have the private sector, we have the NGO world, we have science, we have the international connectivity. So apparently everybody agrees that this job is too big for one. So I think the big lesson is to team up locally, of course, that all the stakeholders, you use the word listening to the stakeholders. I think this is very important, that all the local stakeholders are sort of on board. And we are having this event on a ship. Why not use the maritime word that everybody is on board? Yeah, for that. So this is the right thing to pass this message. And then the second, which I believe, is the international aspect of it. Because not only in science, where Dr. Leslie so eloquently has explained the role of the 5C Center, the international aspect has a lot to do with solidarity and responsibility, global responsibility. It is not a Belizean issue. Neither environmental protection, nor climate change, nor hurricanes is a Belizean issue. It's a global issue. And we are all in the same boat. And we are all in a way affected whether we cause it or we not cause it. We are all aware that the major cause for climate change is in the northern hemisphere. We know it. Everybody knows it. And some of the major repercussions, negative repercussions of climate change are in the southern hemisphere. Well, or let's put it in other words, first world, second world, third world. Many of the countries that suffer most from climate change have not contributed much to its cause, to its origin. So from that analysis, I believe we need to come to a certain level of solidarity between all stakeholders. And by stakeholders, I also include, of course, Germany and the northern hemisphere, the European Union, or all other countries that are like-minded. And there's as somebody has mentioned today, there is a trend to take interest in the issue in Europe, and particularly in my country, in Germany. My government is really strong in pushing the climate change issues. So now is the time to do things together. Now is the time to act. And I would be very happy if out of that reunion, out of that common activity that we are happy to participate in, that we will start off, kick off projects, proposal, common projects, cooperation, systematics, exchange of information, internationalization of information. I hope this is one of the major results of this round table. And I'm very happy to be able to participate. Thank you very much.
Thank you too, Ambassador. I'm Johnny Public. I don't know much about sea. And he said, well, we don't like to toot our horn and we don't like to publicize too much what we're doing, you know. But to me, it's important that we, as Frank said, you know, Frank, the Aldebaran is a perfect example of what needs to be done. You know, it's good for all of us to sit here and talk and have a nice roundtable discussion, but it needs to be translated to our population, right? And the Aldebaran is that bridge that does that where Germany is concerned and Europe is concerned. You know, let's hope that we could find a media, well, maybe our media would do it, that would translate that back to the population of this country so that they can fully appreciate the need to preserve and conserve and appreciate the work that is being done on their behalf by these NGOs, because all these conservation groups work, in my mind, in the interest of the people of Belize in preserving our heritage. That was very obvious to me when in the recent floods. If we did not have the wetlands, for example, in the Crooked Tree area, Belize City would have been flooded out. Belize City was saved because of the whole wetland area that we have. So if that is destroyed, then we can see the impact it will have on us. And that's just an example. But Kenrick, you know far more than I do. So
to comment on the work of Aldebaran as it relates to Belize, Frank made a very important point. The need to have scientific data. Any decision or policies must be based on strong scientific data and information. And this is where researchers and groups like Aldebaran can play a vital role in Belize. So I would like to appeal to Ambassador Linda that the programs that we see Frank and Steffi are promoting along with C is something that we'd want to support, not only in terms of the work they're doing, but the importance. Right now, most of us are gearing up for Copenhagen, and we are preparing policies and advice to our leaders. But we must be able to go to Copenhagen and support what we say by strong scientific evidence from our region. One of the things that came out of the IPCC fourth report is that for our region, the Caribbean region, they did not have enough peer-reviewed scientific documents. Even though we might say we have done it, it was not in the scientific journals. So Frank, I want to encourage you. Let us use this to our advantage. In other words, don't let all the negatives of climate change overcome us. There are positive sides, and one of them is to allow us to accelerate our data collection, because it is not going to serve only for climate change, but to help our governments in putting proper policies in place. And that is the point I wanted to address, Frank. You made a very important point, and the work you're doing, I feel that this roundtable here has brought a new light to our work at the Climate Change Center. In other words, it shows us the NGOs that are involved. We can work together. When we were coming out today, it was mentioned that in the Placencia Lagoon, at one time you could see clear bottom. Now, at certain times you can't because of the amount of algae that is blooming in there. I said to the scientists, let us work together. We will try to get instrumentation. You will do the work. And that is the way I see Aldebaran working in our region.
certainly Aldebaran needs to be commended for the work it's doing, for sure, and needs to be recognized because it's a very essential work.